The vastness of space stretched before Admiral Jack Thorne as he stood on the bridge of the Celestial Dawn, the flagship of the Galactic Confederation's 7th Fleet. Stars twinkled like diamonds against the black canvas of space. Thorne was a tall man with broad shoulders and a face marked by years of difficult decisions. His gray hair was cut short, and his blue eyes were always alert, scanning for threats. "Admiral, we're receiving an urgent transmission," said Lieutenant Wilson, a young officer with bright eyes and quick fingers that danced across the control panel. "It's from the Luminary Council." Thorne frowned. The Luminary were among the oldest species in the known galaxy. They rarely communicated with anyone, especially not through urgent channels. "Put it through," he ordered, straightening his uniform. The main screen flickered, and the image of Elder Vex appeared. The Luminary had pale blue skin that seemed to glow from within, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Their species was known for their ability to see patterns and predict future events. "Admiral Thorne," Elder Vex's voice was deep and melodic, "I bring a warning of great importance." "Elder Vex, this is unexpected," Thorne replied with a respectful nod. "What concerns you?" "Your scouts have discovered a planet in the outer rim. The locals call it Earth." Thorne nodded. "Yes, one of our exploration vessels found it 3 cycles ago. The inhabitants seem primitive but show promise. We were planning first contact within the next cycle." "You must not approach Earth." Elder Vex's voice became urgent, all 4 eyes widening. "The planet is a trap. The humans are not what they appear to be." The bridge went quiet. Officers exchanged worried glances. "A trap?" Thorne asked, his voice filled with doubt. "Our reports indicate they've barely achieved spaceflight. They still used fossil fuels and have only begun to explore their own solar system. Appearances can be deceiving," Elder Vex insisted. "We have sensed something about them. They are dangerous, more dangerous than any species we have encountered in 10,000 years." Commander Diana Bell, Thorne's second-in-command, stepped forward. She was shorter than Thorne, but carried herself with confidence. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her brown eyes were filled with skepticism. "With all due respect, Elder Vex," she said, "we've observed Earth for 2 years now. They spend most of their time fighting among themselves. Their technology is basic. They've only sent a handful of their kind beyond their atmosphere." Elder Vex's eyes narrowed. "That is what they want you to believe." Thorne sighed. The Luminary were respected for their wisdom, but they were also known for being overly cautious. Sometimes their predictions were based more on fear than fact. "I appreciate your concern, Elder," Thorne said carefully, "but we can't ignore a potential new member of the Confederation based on a feeling." "It is more than a feeling," Elder Vex insisted. "We have studied the patterns. Earth sits at the center of a cosmic anomaly. The humans have survived disasters that should have wiped them out. They adapt too quickly. They learn too fast." Dr. Kell, the chief science officer, joined the conversation. He was thin and tall with kind eyes behind simple glasses. Though most vision problems were easily fixed, Kell preferred the old-fashioned look. "Admiral, while I respect the Luminary's insights, our scientific data doesn't support this claim," Kell said, reviewing information on his tablet. "Humans are resilient, yes, but that's because their planet has forced them to be. They've faced harsh conditions and evolved accordingly." "You are making a terrible mistake," Elder Vex warned. "The humans have developed in isolation for a reason. The old records, the ones from before the Great Collapse, they warned about planets like Earth." Thorne looked around the bridge at his crew. He saw doubt in some eyes, curiosity in others. "I'll consider your warning seriously, Elder," Thorne said at last. "But I can't make decisions based on ancient records and feelings. We need facts." Elder Vex was silent for a long moment. "By the time you have facts, Admiral, it will be too late." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. "Sir," Commander Bell said after a moment, "what are your orders?" Thorne rubbed his chin thoughtfully. The luminary were rarely wrong, but their warnings were often exaggerated. Earth had been observed for years. Nothing in the reports suggested anything unusual. We proceed as planned, Thorne decided, but we'll be cautious. Commander Bell, prepare a small fleet for the first contact mission. 5 ships should be enough. Bring our best diplomats. Yes, sir. Bell nodded. Dr. Kell, I want you to review all our data on Earth again. Look for anything unusual, anything we might have missed. Kell nodded, already scrolling through files on his tablet. Lieutenant Wilson, send a message to Earth's primary communication array. Standard first contact protocol. Let them know we're coming in peace. As the crew hurried to carry out his orders, Thorne couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The luminary warning had planted a seed of doubt in his mind. In his quarters later that night, Thorne reviewed the Earth files himself. The images showed a blue planet with swirling white clouds. It was beautiful, like many life-bearing worlds. Reports detailed the humans' brief history of space exploration, their wars, their art, their rapid technological development. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Yet Elder Vex's warning echoed in his mind. By the time you have facts, Admiral, it will be too late. Computer, Thorne said, show me the oldest records we have about Earth. The computer displayed a star chart from 300 years ago. Earth was marked, but with a simple note, approach with caution. Thorne frowned. That was unusual but not alarming. Many planets had similar warnings, especially those with developing civilizations. He closed the files and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, waiting. Were the humans truly a threat, or was this another false alarm from the luminary? Only one way to find out. Computer, set course for Earth. Inform Commander Bell that I'll be leading the first contact mission personally. As the celestial dawn changed direction, heading toward the small blue planet, Thorne couldn't know that Elder Vex's warning was already too late. The trap had been set long ago, and it was about to be sprung. Commander Reed stood on the bridge of the Horizon Seeker, watching as the blue planet grew larger on the view screen. His ship led the small fleet of 5 vessels sent by Admiral Thorne for humanity's first contact. Reed was younger than most commanders, with sharp features and quick eyes that missed nothing. He had earned his rank through smart decisions, not years of service. Entering Earth's solar system, Commander, reported Navigator Mills, a steady officer with a talent for charting safe paths through unknown territory. Their long-range scanners should detect us within the hour. Reed nodded. Good. Let's not rush. We want to give them time to prepare. Lieutenant Hayes, the communications officer, looked up from her console. Sir, I'm picking up a lot of transmissions from the planet. They're excited. Expected, Reed said with a small smile. Their first encounter with life beyond their world. I'd be concerned if they weren't buzzing with activity. Dr. Owens, the xenobiologist assigned to the mission, joined Reed at the view screen. She was older than most of the crew, with silver streaks in her dark hair and eyes that had seen many strange worlds. Their reaction is unusual, Commander, she said quietly. Most species respond with fear when they first detect us. These humans, they sound almost happy. Reed considered this. Perhaps they're simply more curious than fearful. According to our reports, they'd been broadcasting signals into space for over a century, hoping for a response. Or perhaps they're very good actors, Owens replied, her voice low. Reed gave her a sharp look but said nothing. The luminary warning had spread through the fleet, despite Thorne's efforts to keep it quiet. It was causing unnecessary worry. Sir, Hayes called out, we're receiving a direct transmission from Earth. It's on our standard diplomatic frequency. Reed's eyebrows rose. That was unexpected. How did they know which frequency to use? Put it through, he ordered, straightening his uniform. The view screen changed to show a man seated at a desk. He wore a simple dark suit and had a calm, welcoming expression. Behind him was a blue flag with the image of Earth. Greetings to the approaching vessels. The man said in perfect galactic standard, "I am Director Thomas of the United Earth Council. On behalf of humanity, we welcome you to our solar system." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. The humans shouldn't have known galactic standard. They shouldn't have known the diplomatic frequencies. They shouldn't have detected the fleet so quickly. Reed recovered first. "Director Thomas, I am Commander Reed of the Galactic Confederation. We are surprised by your greeting." Thomas smiled. "We've been listening to the stars for a long time, Commander. We've learned much." "I see," Reed said carefully. "We come in peace, seeking friendship between our peoples." "Nothing would please us more," Thomas replied. "We have prepared landing coordinates for your diplomatic team. Our leaders are gathering to meet you. This is a historic day for Earth." After the transmission ended, Reed turned to his senior officers who had gathered on the bridge. "Thoughts?" he asked. "It's a trap," Security Chief Ward said immediately. She was always suspicious, which made her good at her job. "They shouldn't have this level of knowledge." "The luminary warning." "Could be wrong," interrupted Dr. Owens. "Many species develop differently. Perhaps humans are simply fast learners." Navigator Mills shook his head. "They knew our language, our frequencies. That's not learning. That's spying." Reed considered all viewpoints. There was definitely something strange happening, but they had their orders. Admiral Thorne wanted this first contact to succeed. "We proceed as planned," Reed decided. "But we take precautions. Ward, I want a full security team. Owens, analyze everything about their behavior for inconsistencies. Mills, keep the engines ready for immediate departure." Down on Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Director Thomas ended the transmission and turned to face the room full of military and scientific leaders. "They took the bait," he said, "just as we expected." Captain Marcus, head of Earth's Defense Force, stepped forward. A tall man with dark skin and serious eyes, he had spent his career preparing for this moment. "Is everything in place?" he asked. "Yes," replied Dr. Evans, chief scientist of Project Watchful Eye. She was small in stature but commanded respect with her brilliant mind. "The quantum entanglement disruptors are active but undetectable. The moment they enter our atmosphere, we'll have access to their systems." "And if they don't land?" asked General Wilson, an older man with doubt written on his face. "Then we move to Plan B," Marcus answered calmly. "Either way, humanity will not be conquered or colonized." Thomas stood and walked to the large window overlooking the command center. Hundreds of technicians worked at stations monitoring the approaching alien fleet. "For a century, we've intercepted their transmissions," he said. "We've learned their languages, studied their technology, understood their politics. They think we're primitive because that's what we wanted them to think." "And now?" Dr. Evans asked. "Now we show them who we really are," Thomas replied. Back on the Horizon Seeker, Reed led a small team to the shuttle bay. They would be the first to land on Earth and meet its leaders face to face. Final communications check, Reed ordered as the team prepared to board the diplomatic shuttle. "All systems normal," reported Lieutenant Hayes. "Earth has cleared air traffic around the landing zone. They're rolling out the red carpet, literally." Reed nodded and was about to board when his personal communicator beeped. It was a private channel from Admiral Thorne. "Commander." Thorne's voice was tense. "The Luminary have sent another warning. They say their seers have had visions of disaster. They're begging us to abort the mission." Reed looked at his team, already seated in the shuttle and ready to make history. "With respect, Admiral," Reed replied, "we're already here. The humans have been nothing but welcoming. Whatever the Luminary fear, I'm not seeing it." There was a pause before Thorne responded. "Proceed, but be on guard. I've moved the rest of the fleet closer to your position. At the first sign of trouble, get out of there." "Understood, sir." Reed boarded the shuttle, pushing away his doubts. As the small craft detached from the Horizon Seeker and began its descent toward Earth, He couldn't help but feel they were missing something important. On Earth, Captain Marcus watched the shuttles approach on the tracking screens. He turned to Dr. Evans. "Activate Operation Trojan," he ordered quietly. Dr. Evans nodded and pressed her hand against a scanner. Across the planet, hidden systems hummed to life, invisible to the aliens, but about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. As Reed's shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere, he had no idea he was flying straight into humanity's carefully laid trap. The warnings had come too late. The game was already in play, and the humans had been setting up the board for generations. Commander Reed's shuttle touched down smoothly on a large landing pad. Through the viewports, he could see a welcoming committee of humans dressed in formal attire. The sky was clear blue, and the air outside registered as breathable according to the shuttle's sensors. "Remember," Reed told his team as they prepared to exit, "we represent the Galactic Confederation. First impressions matter." The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss. Reed stepped out first, blinking in the natural sunlight. Earth's gravity was slightly stronger than standard Confederation worlds, but within tolerable limits. Director Thomas approached with outstretched hands. "Commander Reed, welcome to Earth." Reed placed his hands palm to palm in the traditional Confederation greeting. "Director Thomas, on behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I thank you for your welcome." The formal introductions continued as Reed's team met Earth's representatives. Everything seemed normal, perfect even. Too perfect, a small voice in Reed's mind whispered. "We have prepared a tour of our capital city," Thomas said, "followed by a meeting with our world leaders. We hope to learn much from each other." "As do we," Reed replied, trying to push away his growing sense of unease. Above Earth, the rest of Reed's fleet maintained standard orbit. On the bridge of the Horizon Seeker, Lieutenant Hayes monitored communications, while Navigator Mills kept watch on the fleet's position. "That's strange," Hayes said suddenly, frowning at her console. "What is it?" Mills asked, looking up from his station. "I just lost contact with the Morning Star," Hayes replied, referring to one of the other ships in their small fleet. One moment they were there, and then nothing. Mills checked his own readouts. "Their position is unchanged. They must be having communication problems." "Maybe," Hayes said, not sounding convinced. She tried another channel. "This is Horizon Seeker calling Morning Star. Please respond." Nothing but static answered her. "Try the Nebula Dancer," Mills suggested, naming another ship in their fleet. Hayes nodded and switched channels. "This is Horizon Seeker calling Nebula Dancer. Please respond." More static. "Something's wrong," Hayes said, alarm creeping into her voice. "I can't reach any of our ships." Mills quickly checked the fleet's positions again. "They're all still there. It must be interference." Hayes shook her head. No natural interference would affect all channels simultaneously. As they spoke, the lights on the bridge flickered. The main view screen went dark for a moment, then came back on showing strange symbols instead of the normal display. "What's happening?" Mills demanded, trying to access the navigation controls. "The system isn't responding." Across the fleet, similar scenes played out on every Confederation ship. Systems failed, controls locked, and communication channels went silent. Within minutes, the entire fleet was effectively dead in space, helpless in Earth's orbit. Back on the planet's surface, Reed was being shown around a modern city when his personal communicator beeped urgently. It was the emergency channel, designed to work even when normal communications failed. "Excuse me," he said to Thomas, stepping away to answer. "Commander." It was Hayes, her voice tight with panic. "We're under attack. All ships have lost control of their systems. Unknown technology has bypassed all our defenses. We can't." The connection cut off abruptly. Reed turned to face Thomas, his hand moving to his sidearm. "What have you done?" Thomas's friendly expression didn't change, but his eyes hardened. "What was necessary, Commander? Your ships are fine, just temporarily disabled." "This is an act of war," Reed said, noticing that his team was now surrounded by humans who no longer looked like friendly diplomats. "No," Thomas replied calmly. "This is self-preservation." In Earth's secret command center, Captain Marcus watched as the alien fleet was neutralized. Quantum entanglement disruptors functioning at 100% efficiency, reported Dr. Evans, monitoring the readings from her station. "All Confederation ships are under our control. Any resistance?" Marcus asked. "None that matters," Evans replied. Their security systems were exactly as the intercepted transmissions described. "Our virus penetrated their defenses just as we planned." Marcus nodded, satisfied. "Begin Phase 2. Launch our fleet." All around Earth, hidden facilities opened to reveal hundreds of ships that had been concealed from alien detection. These weren't the primitive spacecraft the Confederation believed humans capable of building. These were advanced warships, incorporating technology the humans had developed by studying the Confederation's own transmissions. "How long have you been planning this?" Reed asked Thomas as they stood in a secure room. The rest of Reed's team had been separated and taken elsewhere. "Generations," Thomas answered honestly. "We detected your people's transmissions almost 200 years ago. We've been listening, learning, and preparing ever since." Reed shook his head in disbelief. "But why? We came in peace." Thomas laughed, a sound without humor. "Did you? The Confederation has a pattern, Commander. You find primitive worlds, make contact, offer friendship and technology, and slowly take control. Within a few generations, the native population is dependent on you. Their resources are yours, and their world is just another cog in your empire." "That's not true," Reed protested, but even as he spoke, he knew that there was some truth to Thomas's words. The Confederation did tend to guide newer worlds into roles that benefited the greater galactic community. "We study your history," Thomas continued. "We know what happened to the Novari, the Tellan, and dozens of other primitive species. We decided long ago that humanity would not share their fate." On the view screens around them, Reed could see Earth's hidden fleet rising into orbit, surrounding the helpless Confederation ships. "What happens now?" Reed asked quietly. "Now," Thomas said, "Admiral Thorne receives our message. In the depths of space, Admiral Thorne's flagship received an unexpected transmission. The signal was stronger than any Earth technology should have been capable of producing." "Sir," the communications officer called out, "it's from Earth. They're demanding our surrender." "What?" Thorne couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Put it through." The main screen lit up to show Captain Marcus, his face stern and confident. "Admiral Thorne," Marcus began without preamble, "your reconnaissance fleet is under our control. Your ships are disabled. We have the capability to destroy them at any time." "Who are you?" Thorne demanded. "Where is Commander Reed?" "I am Captain Marcus of Earth's Defense Force," Marcus replied. "Commander Reed is unharmed, as are all your people. They will remain that way as long as you listen carefully to what I have to say." Thorne glanced at his senior officers, all watching with shocked expressions. The luminary had been right. Earth was not what it seemed. "I'm listening," Thorne said grimly. "The trap was not for your ships, Admiral," Marcus explained. "It was for your attention. Humanity will not be colonized, exploited, or controlled. We are offering you a choice. Recognize us as equals, or face a war you didn't expect and are not prepared for." As proof of their capabilities, Earth's hidden fleet fired precisely calibrated weapons that disabled, but didn't destroy, 3 of Thorne's escort vessels in a matter of seconds. And suddenly, Thorne understood the full meaning of the luminary warning. "By the time you have facts, Admiral, it will be too late." It already was. Admiral Thorne stood frozen on the bridge of the Celestial Dawn. The screen showed Earth's hidden fleet surrounding his disabled reconnaissance ships. His mind raced with questions. How could humans have developed such technology without detection? How had they known the Confederation's weaknesses? "Sir, we're being hailed again," said Lieutenant Wilson, his voice tight with stress. It's the Luminary vessel." Thorne's eyebrows rose in surprise. "The Luminary? Here?" The view screen shifted to show Elder Vex. The ancient alien looked tired, the glow of his blue skin dimmer than before. "You should have listened, Admiral," Elder Vex said without greeting. "Now we face a situation none of us wanted." "You knew about Earth's capabilities," Thorne said. "It wasn't a question." "Not specifically," Elder Vex replied. "But we knew enough to be cautious. The humans evolved on what we call a death world." "A death world?" Thorne frowned. "A planet with extreme environmental pressures. Most intelligent species evolve on stable worlds with predictable conditions. Humans faced constant change, brutal weather, deadly predators, and shifting continents. It forged them differently." As Elder Vex spoke, another transmission came through. This one showed Captain Marcus alongside a human woman Thorne didn't recognize. "Admiral Thorne," Marcus began, "this is Dr. Miller, Earth's leading xenobiologist. She has studied your species for decades. We thought you might have questions." Thorne glanced at Elder Vex, whose image remained on a separate screen. The luminary nodded slightly. "I have many questions," Thorne replied, "starting with how you developed technology capable of disabling Confederation ships." Dr. Miller stepped forward. She was middle-aged with gray streaks in her brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Simple, Admiral. We listened and learned. Your people broadcast everything. Technical specifications, scientific discoveries, military protocols. For over a century, we've been gathering your knowledge and using it to prepare." "That's impossible," Thorne objected. "Our transmissions are encrypted." Miller smiled. "To species that develop encryption and decryption together, yes. But humans approached your codes with no preconceptions. We saw patterns where your people didn't expect anyone to look." Marcus added, "Your encryption methods evolved from shared historical foundations. Ours developed independently. It gave us a unique perspective." On the Luminary vessel, Elder Vex was joined by another of his kind, one even older and more frail. This was Elder Nax, oldest of the Luminary Council. "There is another truth you should know, Admiral," Elder Nax said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Earth's isolation was not an accident." "What do you mean?" Thorne demanded. "Long ago, before the Great Collapse, before the Confederation existed, ancient civilizations found Earth. They'd recognized the potential danger humans represented. Their solution was quarantine." Thorne felt cold realization wash over him. "You kept Earth hidden." "Not us specifically," Elder Vex clarified. "Civilizations that came before us. They altered star charts, created navigational hazards, and set up warning beacons. Over time, most of these measures failed or were forgotten. But the warnings remained in our oldest records." Back on Earth, Commander Reed was escorted into a room where Director Thomas waited with several other human leaders. Reed noticed that his restraints had been removed. "Your Admiral and the Luminary are currently having a fascinating conversation," Thomas told him. "I thought you might want to join us in watching." Reed eyed Thomas suspiciously. "Why would you allow that?" "Because we want you to understand us," Thomas replied simply. "We're not your enemies unless you force us to be." A large screen showed the conversation between Thorne, Marcus, and the Luminary. Reed watched with growing astonishment as the true history unfolded. "We never wanted war, Commander," Thomas explained as they watched. "We just refused to be conquered, even peacefully." "The Confederation doesn't conquer," Reed argued, but his voice lacked conviction. "Not through force of arms." "No," Thomas agreed, "but through dependency and cultural dominance." "Absolutely. We studied what happened to other primitive species after first contact. How many still maintain their independent identity after a few generations of Confederation guidance?" Reed had no answer for that. On the Celestial Dawn, Thorne was coming to terms with the situation. Earth had revealed that they had intercepted and decoded Confederation transmissions for over a century. They had studied alien technology, culture, and tactics while pretending to be a primitive, isolated world. "We could have destroyed your ships," Marcus pointed out. "We chose not to." "What do you want?" Thorn finally asked. "Recognition," Marcus replied firmly. "Earth will join your Galactic Confederation, but as equals, not as a primitive world to be guided and exploited. We want full membership status immediately, with all the rights and protections that entails." Thorn looked to Elder Vex. The luminary made a gesture that roughly translated to reluctant agreement. Their approach was extreme, Elder Vex admitted, but not unreasonable given the Confederation's history of absorbing younger species. Thorn considered his options. He had a larger fleet than what Earth had revealed, but if the humans could so easily disable 5 advanced ships, who knew what other surprises they might have? And there was wisdom in what the luminary said about humanity's unique evolution. "I will bring your proposal to the Confederation Council," Thorn said carefully. "But I need more than just demands. I need good faith. Release your advance fleet and Commander Reed's team," Thorn continued. "Prove that your intentions are peaceful despite your dramatic first impression." Marcus seemed to consider this, then nodded. "Agreed. But our ships will escort yours until formal agreements are signed." And, Elder Nax added unexpectedly, "The luminary will serve as mediators. We have the most experience with unusual species integration." The pieces of a new arrangement were falling into place. Humanity had forced its way to the galactic table through cunning rather than conquest. They had studied their potential adversaries for generations, preparing defenses against specific weaknesses. As the discussion concluded, Reed was returned to his shuttle with his team. All were unharmed but shaken by the experience. "Commander," Thomas said as Reed prepared to depart, "please tell your admiral something important." "What's that?" Reed asked warily. "Tell him that Earth didn't develop all this technology just to defend against the Confederation. Tell him there are things out there, beyond known space, that worry us far more than your people ever did." Reed felt a chill at Thomas's words. What could possibly frighten a species capable of outmaneuvering the entire Galactic Confederation? As Reed's shuttle lifted off, he couldn't help but wonder if Earth's trap hadn't caught something far more dangerous than anyone yet realized. 3 months after the confrontation in Earth's orbit, representatives from across the galaxy gathered in a massive hall on the Confederation's central world, Nexus. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy as delegates from 100 worlds whispered among themselves. At the center of attention was the human delegation, led by Director Thomas and Captain Marcus. Admiral Thorn stood at the entrance, watching the scene with mixed emotions. The past months had been the most challenging of his career. Convincing the Confederation Council that Earth deserved equal status had not been easy. Many argued that rewarding Earth's deception would encourage other worlds to take similar actions. "Quite the gathering," said Commander Reed, who had joined Thorn at the entrance. Reed had been promoted after the Earth incident for his handling of the crisis. "I never thought I'd see humans here so soon." "Nor did I," Thorn admitted, "but they've earned their place, even if their methods were unorthodox." Elder Vex approached them, moving slowly as was typical for his ancient species. "The vote begins soon. Are you prepared for the outcome, Admiral?" "The outcome is already decided," Thorn replied. "The Council may debate, but they know Earth cannot be ignored or controlled. The demonstrations last week proved that." The demonstrations had been Earth revealing even more of their technological capabilities. They had shared advances in quantum computing that left Confederation scientists speechless. They had shown medical techniques that could extend life by decades. And most impressively, they had displayed weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them. "I still don't understand how they developed so quickly," Reed said, shaking his head. "Adaptation," Elder Vex explained. "Humans evolved solving problems. Other species learned to work with their environments. Humans learned to change theirs. When faced with a challenge, They don't accept limitations. They find ways around them. Across the hall, Captain Marcus was engaged in a tense conversation with General Wilson, who had joined the delegation at the last minute. "They're still suspicious," Wilson muttered, watching the alien delegates. "Half of them think we're going to take over the Confederation." "Can you blame them?" Marcus replied. "We disabled their ships, exposed their weaknesses, and demanded a seat at their table. That's not the traditional path to diplomatic relations." "It was necessary," Wilson insisted. "If we had followed protocol, we'd be answering to a Confederation governor by now." Dr. Miller joined them, her expression serious. "The luminary representative wants to speak with us before the vote. Says it's important." Marcus nodded, and the three humans followed Dr. Miller to a small side chamber where Elder Nax waited. The ancient luminary seemed even frailer than before, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "Captain Marcus," Elder Nax said, his voice barely above a whisper. "There is something you must know before today's proceedings." "We're listening," Marcus replied, taking a seat across from the elder. "The quarantine of Earth was not just to protect the galaxy from humans," Elder Nax explained. "It was also to protect humans from what lies beyond the Confederation's borders." The three humans exchanged glances. "What exactly lies beyond?" Dr. Miller asked. "The ancient records speak of a darkness between the stars," Elder Nax said. "A presence that devours civilizations. The Confederation has never encountered it because it has been dormant for millennia. But there are signs it is waking." "Is this some kind of test?" General Wilson demanded. "Or a scare tactic to keep us in line?" Elder Nax's eyes flashed with rare anger. "This is no test, human. The luminary do not engage in such games. We have watched the patterns of stars for 100,000 years. We know what the changing patterns mean." Marcus studied the ancient alien, looking for any sign of deception. He found none. "You said there are signs," he noted. "What signs?" "Lost outposts in the far reaches. Strange signals that appear and vanish. Ships that enter certain regions and never return." Elder Nax's voice dropped even lower. "The same signs that appeared before the Great Collapse, when half the galaxy went dark in a single century." Back in the main chamber, the council session was about to begin. Delegates took their seats as the Confederation president called for order. "Today we vote on the admission of Earth as a full member of the Galactic Confederation," the president announced. "Before we proceed, does Earth wish to address the assembly?" Director Thomas stepped forward. His gaze swept across the gathered representatives before he spoke. "Honored delegates," he began, "Earth comes before you today, not as a conquered world or a primitive species seeking guidance. We come as equals, with much to offer and much to learn." Thomas paused, his expression solemn. "Our methods may have seemed extreme, but consider our position. A young species discovering they are not alone, learning that a vast empire exists among the stars with the power to forever change their world. Would you not have prepared? Would you not have taken precautions?" Murmurs filled the chamber, some of understanding, others of disagreement. "But that is past," Thomas continued. "Today we look forward. Earth offers its technology, its resources, and its unique perspective to the Confederation. In return, we ask only for respect and equal standing." As Thomas spoke, Captain Marcus and his group returned to the chamber. Marcus passed a note to Thomas, who read it quickly before continuing. "There is one more thing," Thomas added, his voice taking on new urgency. "Earth scientists have detected unusual activity beyond the Confederation's outer territories. Activity that matches ancient warnings in our own records we discovered while preparing our defenses." This caused a stir among the delegates. The luminary representatives nodded gravely. "We believe," Thomas concluded, "that the galaxy may soon face a threat greater than any in recorded history. Earth is prepared to join with the Confederation to meet this threat, whatever it may be." The vote that followed was unanimous. Earth was admitted as a full member of the Galactic Confederation, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. As the session ended, Admiral Thorne approached Thomas and Marcus. "That was quite the speech," Thorne said, "especially the part about the threat beyond our borders. Very convenient timing." Marcus met Thorne's gaze steadily. "It wasn't a political tactic, Admiral. The luminary confirmed what our own deep space monitors have been detecting. Something is out there, something old and dangerous." "And if it comes?" Thorne asked. "Then the trap Earth built for you," Thomas replied quietly, "will seem like a child's toy compared to what we will build for it." Listening nearby, Elder Vex turned to Elder Nax. Was the warning too late after all? He asked in their ancient language. Elder Nax's gaze drifted toward the window, where stars were beginning to appear in the evening sky. "For the darkness." "No," the ancient luminary replied. "For us all. We shall see."